the recording in a second here. Those of you that are just coming live right now on YouTube, and Facebook, the different Facebook groups we're involved with, this is our weekly Musicians Mastermind. So check it out if you're a musician. There's a link there where you could get information about joining our group. For a very short period of time, it will still be free of charge, but that is changing very soon, right, Joe?
Right.
Yeah. So we're just kind of like letting you know that it's out there. And what we do each week is we record this and then we turn it into it gets uploaded as a podcast and goes out to Apple Music and Spotify and all the stuff. All right, here we go. Let me get my notes. So I don't. Okay, here we go. Welcome back, everybody, to the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus Musicians Mastermind. My name is Lou Lombardi, a.k.a. Ludini, with Joe Freeman and Carrie J.K. Today's topic is 5 ways to get on track with social media today. This week, Damian Keyes published a video called Why You're Not Growing on Social Media, 5 Changes Today. He makes great points, and on today's podcast, we want to unpack some of his ideas and explore what they might look like in practical use. So that's basically it, and every once in a while we're going to do this. If you like this style of podcast, let us know, because I know that if you're watching us, you're also watching Damian and Adam Ivy and some of these other folks out there that are giving coaching, and everybody's got good stuff to say. Everybody's coming from it from a different point of view. So we like to kind of look at these. You know that we've talked about John Ojaka and Leah McHenry on the podcast many times. So this is just sort of something we try to bring to light to kind of like maybe add some clarification. Also, these are podcasts. They're long form, so we can kind of get into more depth than somebody like Damian can do in maybe a 15-minute video. So that's the point of today's show. So I know Carrie was all over this, right, Carrie? You said you were furiously taking notes. You stayed up all night like studying for an exam.
Not quite that much, but
so do you want to just start with the 5?
Right. I thought you were going to do that.
You want me to? Well, here's what the 5.
Yeah, I thought you were leading this, Lou.
You did, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about there's 5 basic things that he talks about, and this is ideas to kind of like give you stuff to kind of like tweak your mind to sort of so you can kind of like jump in and get started like right away and start making changes like right now. So that is why he says 5 fast changes today. I'm going to give you an overview and then we're going to go through these. The first one is the idea of consistency by having a schedule or a calendar. So this is all about social media. So if you want to be a player on social media, and this includes all social media, any one, whatever your favorite soup of the week is, whatever you like, is to stay very consistent. And one of the things that you can do is you can plan your posts, and there are different post planning software out there. You can hire folks on Fiverr to help you put this together. There's a lot of different options. Some of the post planning stuff is total garbage, and the social media sites actually block. So you don't get a lot, but you can at least put these things can help you kind of put the calendar together so you know what's to go out when. The other thing that he talks about is to get yourself 1,000 subscribers. I was going to say try. There is no try, right? Do or do not. There is no try. Get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I have 174, so I got a little ways to go. And we're gonna talk about why that's important. Your bio. Specifically, he talks about Instagram. I really want Carrie to kind of get into this because I'm not completely sure on this, but the point that he makes is to use the why you're doing what you're doing, and I do agree with. Yeah. There's a lot of coaches and stuff. Tony Robbins talks about that. A lot of people talk about it's very important to have your why together. And that's the kind of thing that inspires people to want to follow you and be around you and get to know, like, and trust you. And then finally, this is the idea about the final idea is growing traffic. Excuse me. That is not that's not the final. The next idea is the idea of growing traffic, because what's the point, right? If you're not getting exposure, and at least dripping in new fans, and dealing with, setting up some kind of accountability, whether it's joining a mastermind, hint, hint, or having a coach, right, Joe? to help you kind of like say, okay, where are we this week? How far did we get? Okay, can we do this for next week? And sort of just having that that other person or that other group of people. Sometimes it's your band, right? You know what I mean? They're all like, well, did you call the guy about the artwork today? And you don't want to be you don't want to say, oh no, I forgot. So things like that. So let's jump in with the beginning here with this idea of some sort of social media calendar. Now, Joe and I are in another mastermind with a mentor who's big on calendars. Marketing calendars and things like that. You can go to something like BrownieLocks.com or just Google. I don't know if it's BrownieLocks.com or BrownieLocks, whatever. But if you Google BrownieLocks, this will give you ideas of things that you can put in your social media calendar. And I will tell you a sort of example. I'm talking, so I'm not going to look one up. I'm just going to make one up. Today is August 29th, and it is National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. Okay, so there is literally, if you go to Brownie Locks, there is every day of the month. There is National Pet Your Cat Day, National, Hug Your Uncle Day. I mean, every, just anything you can imagine. So if you're trying to figure out something to post on a specific day, these are really fun things to do. And so say that today is National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day, Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. You could do something like post a picture of the band eating chocolate chip cookies. It's fun. You know what I mean? Not all of this has to be like serious, music stuff, but it, gets people laughing, having a good time with you, showing that you're real folks. There's many, many different ways. If it was, say it was National Adopt a Pet Day, and maybe you didn't want to adopt a pet because maybe you already have 5, but maybe you guys go to, like a pet shelter and take photos. Or maybe you say, today only, when you buy our CD, we're donating all the proceeds to XYZ pet shelter. Okay, so stuff like this is really, because I know it's so hard to think of shit, right? We don't I don't know what to post. I don't know. Remember when Facebook first started and people just posted what they had for dinner and stuff like that? So, there's a lot of different things you could do. You guys want to jump in on any of this?
Well, one thing I'd say, do you remember before when we talked about smart targets? I think this is probably like yesterday's news now about smart targets. It used to be like Project Management 101. I don't know if it still gets used. But everything we're hearing here, and this is another point we've made in the past with these talks, is that much of the stuff we talk about and this is something we say that a lot of gurus don't say, is that the great new revolutionary idea, the great new way of doing something is not new at all.
Yeah.
And everyone who's out there, and we listed all the people, all those guys, like John Ajaka and Leo McHenry, all of them have great things to say, and all of them have the same things to say, but with variations that make it work for you. And that is what this is about. All these principles are universal. All these principles have been going for a long time, and they do work, but not out of the box. It's always about how you make it work for yourself. The SMART acronym, if we go through that, is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based. So straight away, that calendar there is about making things time-based. When you talk about the SMART acronym, it's all about giving yourself specific deadlines when you're going to do things. Because if you say, I'm going to get this done by this time next year or by some vague point in the future, you will put it off. Human nature procrastinates. There will always be something else that comes up. But if you say at this point on the 30th of July of this year, this is going to be done, and everything is going to build up to that. A week before that will be when I'm preparing for this. Suddenly, this thing's real, and you're going to get that stuff done. You're going to make the time in your day to do it. Whereas if it's just a vague thing in the future, it's not going to happen.
You said real quick, you said a very important word. You said the word real, and there's literally a quote from Tony Robbins. It says all the time, it says, when you schedule it, it becomes real. Amen, brother. Preach it. Go ahead.
So definitely realistic. And all of this is about making something that is realistic. And here's the other thing about doing things this way. It is a hell of a lot of work. And that is why you are a professional artist and not just some guy that makes music. I don't do as much now because I have other things in my life now. But at the time when I was doing this thing absolutely full time and I was on the road and I was always getting gigs and I was always doing this, that, or the other, I often said that I did the actual playing part for free. The bit I was being paid for was being on the phone all the time, chasing people. It'd be driving for 8 hours.
Yep.
It would be unloading at one end. It'd be eating shit food. It'd be all this stuff that surrounded it that made the playing part happen.
Yeah.
The playing part I would have done for free.
Yep.
And that's really, if all of this sounds like a lot of hard work, damn right it's a lot of hard work. And that's why it's a professional job.
Yeah, there is and I believe it's in the book Psycho-Cybernetics that he talks about being a professional, even when you're not being, even if that's not, you're an artist and you're just starting out or whatever, treating it like a profession from the get-go, as soon as you can get your mind around that. And what does the profession? No, it's not in Psycho-Cybernetics. I apologize. It's in The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, which is an amazing book everybody should read. So in other words, sit down and do your work. Put a schedule together. So we were talking about social media, but I think where Carrie was going with this was because Damian also mentions this in the video, is things like your releases, schedule them. I'm going to release, and I'm terrible. I am talking to myself. I'm sort of flogging myself here because I'm absolutely awful with this. I treat it way too willy-nilly and kind of fly by the seat of my pants. So I'm one of these people that is not reined in enough. I need to pull this in, but schedule everything. So the release is going to be September 15th, not mid-September or, sometime this fall, we're going to put something out, no, September 15th. And that gives you something, what we were just talking about, your social media calendar. That gives you something to talk about. You can do a countdown, all right, we've only got 14 more days and oh my God, we didn't get all this stuff done. And here's a picture of me freaking out, trying to, so that gives you, that gives you more ammo that you can talk about, but schedule everything. If you're going to, if you have a time, I have to schedule time to write. I have to schedule time to practice the guitar. I have to schedule time to cut the videos that Joe and I are working on. And if I don't schedule it, the whole week goes by, and Joe and I have our meeting on Thursday, and I go shit, I didn't get that damn thing done. I'm so sorry. It's not that I didn't want to get it done. It's not that I'm even being lazy or I'm blowing up from sitting around playing video games. It's that it wasn't scheduled. And when the busier you get, you will live and you will die by your schedule. I can't emphasize it enough, and I need to re-emphasize it to myself. Joe, go ahead, buddy. I know you want to say something.
So part of Damian's point was, your fans expect to see things come out at certain intervals or certain times, and you want to set up that anticipation for your fans. So if you tell them, hey, we're going to come out with a CD in, September, maybe, they're not going to get excited. They're not going to anticipate that CD releasing because there's no real strong due date. It also gives you the opportunity to know, okay, I have to have this done by this time. So you're going to work for that, which then creates a journey towards getting it done by that time. So that journey along the way, whether you need to do a album cover, or even if it's one song, a single cover, maybe you want to do a t-shirt with it. Maybe you have a release, promotion to do, whatever the case may be. The journey along the way and all those pieces that you have to develop to get to that album release in September, then you have all that to share along the way. They're watching you, you're sharing with them, you're seeing what they're doing, and that creates your calendar, which then creates content for you to share on your social media.
So a whole other way we just gave you two really good ways to go when you're sitting there. I don't know what to do on social media. We just gave you two amazing things to do. Find something like the Brownie Locks and do fun, stuff. You could do a combination of both. You can work them
with
together.
The Brownie Locks thing, I would be careful and make sure that you're picking things in the calendar that match your why. So, he talks about the idea of your profile being about why and not just what. Like, people don't care that you're a 24-year-old indie pop rock singer who, picked up a guitar at 5 and blah, 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 blah. They want to know why you're, like, what's your music about? What are you trying to do in the world? What effect does your music have on?
Why are you still picking up a guitar now?
Right. Yeah. So if you're gonna do you eating cookies, try to make sure you're picking things in the calendar or spinning the cookies in a way that the cookies are matching your why, your personality, your persona, who you are. Like, nobody wants just to see you pick up and eat a cookie because it's National Cookie Day, but they do want to see you, like, I don't know.
Well, you could. Well, I mean, I
smash the cookies first because you're rebelling against something that day. I don't know.
Well, the other thing is, I mean, I don't completely agree with that. I think that doing wild card fun things, if that is part of your persona, is totally fine. So I'm maybe that appeals more to me. If you're serious,
it also depends on what your act is.
Yeah,
it,
like that's what I'm saying. Your persona.
Does anyone want to see Marilyn Manson do National Cookie Day?
Right, exactly. But a lot of like indie pop and rock bands can totally do fun stuff like that. You know what I mean? Maybe your thing is October because it's the month of Halloween. So you do 30 days of like horror posts because you're a goth artist. Or something like that. So I don't want to get too deep into this because we've already taken like a 17-minute video and we've only talked about one topic so far and it's taken us 20 minutes. So let's move on to the next thing. Let's talk about subscribers on YouTube. So what are you guys' feelings about this? I will tell you that is like probably the first place I go for music is YouTube. The second place is Spotify. So I was kind of like, it's hard to do. I mean, a lot of people have issues with videos. Carrie, you probably remember when we first started the group and I was trying to encourage people to go on camera. There was a lot of people like, I can never do that. I can never do that. Oh my God. Melissa was one of them, but she started to go on camera. She does okay. But I mean, there's different types of videos you can do. You don't necessarily have to do talking head videos or something like this. There's different types of things that you can do. But he gives a couple different options: long form content, like putting up an entire show, doing storytelling type things, putting up B-sides and covers, of course, music videos, lyric videos, blah, 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 blah. You guys want to chime in on YouTube?
I mean, like the key thing you said there, and there's an important distinction to be made here. This is not like buying followers or doing lifts or any of the things that's just about building up numbers that don't mean anything. This means actually getting 1,000 subscribers, hopefully, that are going to actually watch your channel. And getting to the point there. So if you went out and said, look, I just need 1,000 subscribers by the end of the week, do that. It doesn't matter if you never look at me. And I've seen people use the exact words. It doesn't matter if you never look at my channel again. I just want to get your subscriber number. That is a stupid way of doing this. Because all that will happen then is you'll end up with an inflated follower count that will fool nobody because there's no engagement on your channel. Getting those 1,000 numbers is just the first step. And if you fake it before your time, then it's going to make all the other steps that much harder. So what he means by that is getting those 1,000 subscribers as organically as possible. There might be little things you do on the way there. Not buying them. We do not advocate buying followers ever. But there's little things you'll do about getting up to that point. And as you said there, the reason for that is because it shows you mean business. And the way that you show you mean business by doing that is again by that consistency, about having that calendar. It means that every day of whatever schedule it is, if it's every week, that's great. If it's every fortnight or something. But that means then that people will look at their homepage or look at your channel on that day and will be looking for a new video at that time. And they will want to see it. There's a guy I follow called Lazy Masquerade who he reads out creepy stories he found on Reddit. And he's got a massive channel. And we listen to him all the time, and he doesn't post weekly.
What's the name? What's the name again? Carrie?
That guy's name is Lazy Masquerade.
Oh, dude, I love Lazy Masquerade. I freaking
love
him too.
Him. But he's a guy that I think he used to post a lot more regularly, and he can't now for personal reasons. But he still does it, say, every fortnight. And that's regular enough. And this is a guy who's got a serious operation going now. He's got loads and loads of subscribers on Patreon that keep him going, and they have input on the channel, and people have that relationship with him. And so he's not posting every day of the week or even every week, but he is posting regularly. And I think there's more content that goes to his Patreon, and people know about it. And they know that they can go to his channel and look for what his latest stuff is. And that's what it is. It's like that consistency that shows that you are actually treating this as a proper professional thing, and not just something you're doing for a laugh, and that you're going to take your ball and run if people don't pay you enough attention. All these people as well, when they tell you about how they built their channels, they're all, the other consistent thing that we've talked about before is when a lot of YouTubers talk about how they built it. They'll often say that the first 2 years were crickets. And then they just got no engagement there at all. They had to build it slowly. But once people saw that they had that, and once people do find you, they'll go through your back catalogue. That's the other thing. If you ever feel, and I do this all the time, I'm putting out blog posts, I'm putting out articles, and I'll see no engagement, and it feels like you're pissing in the wind. But you're not, because what you're doing every time you put, even if nobody follows it on that day, you've still added to your digital footprint. And that means when you do something that somebody sees or that somebody notices, then they will also see that you have this back catalogue of material going back however long. And they know that you have been at this a long time. And then immediately, this is somebody who means this isn't just some flash in the pan. This is somebody who's actually been working at this. And then they'll read back on it. And the other thing is, if you are a complete newbie doing this, and I say this because I'm one of these people, when I see someone who's just starting out, and they've still got my curiosity, especially musicians. I don't make first contact with everybody straight away because there just aren't enough hours in the day, but I do make a note of them because I want to see the next thing they put out. And if the next thing they put out is still holding my attention, then they're mentally, it's not a physical list, but it is a mental list. Then they're immediately going up in my estimation to the point where eventually I'm looking out for what they're doing. And at some point, I will make contact. And at some point, I will become a proper fan of those. So it's a slow build process. It's not see one thing and bang, they're a super fan now. It doesn't work like that. It's never worked like that.
I think, too, if you guys put a lot of time into like a music video or something like that right off the bat, it can be a little discouraging. So I would say, if you just wanted my advice, I would do something like some kind of vlog. Maybe the band practices every Tuesday night.
Film your gigs. Okay, that's the first thing you can do.
Hold on a minute. There are no gigs right now, so I'm thinking something very simple. Because you could play a gig and you could sound like shit, or you could get bad audio. It could be a total nightmare. It could come out like, you have no idea what you're doing. So I'm talking about, like, if you don't know anything, you could start real simple with every night is Tuesday night. Maybe what you guys do is you talk to the audience before or after rehearsal. Maybe somebody holds up a cell phone and records one. You practice one song really good. Say, hey, we worked on this. We want to show it to you guys. And so it's like your Tuesday night, jam out with your fans that you put up, and they can go and they know that it's always coming. That's a big thing when you watch YouTube. The really good ones that are successful, you'll always say, I post a new video every Thursday. I post a new video every Sunday morning. I post a new, that is a huge thing that goes back to but it doesn't have to be complicated. You could do some kind of like story. I know a guy who has a whole podcast about this, but this works as a YouTube channel, Stories from the Road. And he talks to different musicians. He brings them on, and they tell crazy stories about screwed up things that happened while they were gigging and on the road, etc. Putting up just, what was I also? Teach something. Here's the latest riff, here's a song, here's a riff from our latest song. And here's how I came up with it. I pulled it out of this scale or whatever. These are wild card ideas. You don't, and the final thing I want to say about YouTube is you don't know what's going to work. And Sean Cannell's channel, I can't remember his name. I think it's Sean Cannell. He's a YouTube teacher, coach, and I've watched a lot of his stuff. And one of the things he says is a lot of these guys that are really successful on YouTube have tried different things over the years. So you may be doing one kind of video and you may be real consistent and maybe you're pretty good at it, but it doesn't quite nab the audience. So try doing a different kind of video. But I would say if you're not doing YouTube, like start. Just pick something and just get in and get used to being in front of that camera. Because I tell you, I had experience last night, and I've been at this a long time, and I still struggle with this. I'm putting up videos playing the tracks, and damn it, I will practice that thing, and I will have it. I'll be like, oh, man, I'm killing this. And as soon as that damn camera goes on, and I know I'm recording, it's like I forgot how to play the guitar. All right. And it takes me a few choruses before I'm warmed up and I'm kind of at ease to be able to really start to play really well. So this is why it's super important that if you have any kind of, and we all do, I mean, Joe talked about this. He was terrified to do a podcast in the beginning. It just takes doing it. The more you do this, the better you're going to get. And this is going to make the fans like it more. Joe, is there anything you want to weigh in on YouTube before we move on?
Yeah, the one thing I want to say about YouTube is a media outlet for you. So that's where you're going to put out your videos. People are going to come there to watch your videos, hopefully subscribe, and then follow you if you post consistently, which you should. And it's important to have followers on YouTube as one of your media outlets. However, I do disagree with Damian in that when he starts to talk about traffic versus YouTube, I don't believe having 1,000 followers on YouTube is your ultimate fan base, and that's security for you. I've said it a million times. You also want to create an email list, but starting off on YouTube, getting the videos out there, consistently posting, making your media outlet run is very important to then taking the next step and creating an email list where you have an audience that if YouTube someday decides to shut you down, you still have that list. You still have those fans to follow you. You can move them over to the next thing. Say something takes over YouTube and there's something new now. You can send them out an email and transition them to the new thing.
I mean, like, quick thing. When did all the YouTubers start going nuts with Patreon? Do you remember what happened that led to that?
No.
No, tell
YouTube just started demonetizing everybody for loads of different reasons. And as a result of that, the whole economy of YouTube moved over to Patreon. And gradually it's moved back to YouTube as well now. And the monetization of it is still part of it. But now there are very few YouTubers that have their whole model now just around YouTube monetization.
Well, what I want to say real quick is I think that the 1,000 subscribers is just, I think the point is to kind of
get started.
Because if you can grow 1,000 in some white hat way, in 90 days or something like that. So that's a good goal. Can you bring 1,000 people in 90 days? I think it's a great goal. I think it will test your sort of thinking and it will make you really kind of come up with stuff. You got, I think that if you can do that, then you can get the next 1,000. And then you can get the next 1,000. I mean, the channels that are really rocking are like 100,000 and up. So 1,000 is just kind of like a drop in the bucket. I don't think anybody, just in case you're new, 1,000 subscribers on YouTube is not like the same. And Joe was trying to clarify this, is not the same as like 1,000 fans. Mm-hmm. Because people can subscribe and never look at your channel again. I'm subscribed to a gazillion people who I never look at. Oh, that's cool. I'm subscribing. I like that guy, so I subscribed.
But they should have at least have subscribed in good faith when they did it.
Exactly. Good.
But when he makes the transition over to traffic from YouTube, so like I said, YouTube's your media. You're building up subscribers. You're getting the media out there. You're trying to get attention. Without attention, you don't have a business. Without attention, you can't entertain them. You can't play their music. They can't see it. But then when you get into traffic, which he discussed in the video, then he starts talking about know your numbers and watch your numbers and watch those different areas where that traffic is, and also understand that traffic's purpose and intent. When I said about an email list, those are your true fans. They've signed up. They've either bought something from you or entered to download something. They've rose their hands, and they're very, they're your main audience. But I guess what I'm saying is you can get traffic from multiple places. So I'm not disqualifying YouTube at all. Like, that's your beginning area. To really get some attention, you guys have to have videos out there. You have to have music and something to listen to, something to entertain me. But it's not the only place to put it. And then ultimately you want to transition them over to be your ultimate fans in your email list. So you can email them all the time.
And you can definitely do that via YouTube. The other thing that he mentions about YouTube that's really important is this is where other people in the industry go to check you out. Because it's, first of all, you know, not everybody has a Spotify subscription. Also on YouTube, more than likely they can actually see you. They can also interact with you on YouTube. It's a lot easier on YouTube if you are, you know, you have a venue or you are a record label or you're a booking agent or something like that, and you see a band to leave a comment, say, "I love you guys, you know, hit me up. I really want to. I want to talk to you about something or whatever." This is something we don't talk enough about on the podcast is having space on the internet for the industry and being able to interact with the industry, because as much as it's important as Joe says, you've got to get those fans, you've got to get them in your email, and you've got to interact with them there. Absolutely. The other half of your energy, though, or other part of your energy, or some of your energy at least, should be devoted to creating relationships in the industry. And YouTube is a great way to create that sort of like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know how to sing. I know how to write a great song. I know how to whatever. And it puts that out there so that people are, when they're looking for stuff, they go, I'm so like, everybody sucks. I need to find a good artist for fill in the blank or whatever. We need a song for a movie. We need a song for a video game, whatever. You know, they're looking, especially now because they can't go out and hear anybody, or this is just the fastest, easiest way to do it. So don't discount that side of the industry. And we're going to skip the Instagram thing for just a second because Joe already started talking about growing traffic. So you want to get, because I know that Joe's a big with the funnels and everything like that. That's kind of your niche. So we'll talk a little wee bit about growing traffic.
Yeah. So when Lou mentions the funnel is the capture process. So you have to have a way to get someone's attention, transfer them into your funnel, and then that funnel gets their email address, their contact information, so you can communicate with them and offer something they want. The traffic itself, you know, your subscribers on YouTube could be your traffic, some of your traffic, because at the end of the video, you could be like, hey, I just started. In my case, I deal with a lot of coaches and stuff, so I just put out a course on how to make YouTube your primary business traffic place. You know, how to create a musical company based on just YouTube. And then they go to the thing below where you mention your URL. They go into the funnel, and in the funnel you capture them. Okay, and then from there, you know, you can do all kinds of things from there depending on your course of action. Right now, we have funnels for coaching. We have funnels for the music itself. We have funnels for the podcast, just so we can get people to raise their hands and say, hey, this is what I'm into. This is what I like. And we can figure out from that audience what they're doing. But one of the points Damian makes is the traffic coming into the funnel is to watch your numbers, know exactly how many people are seeing what you're doing and how many people are interacting with that content on different social media outlets. And each one's a little different. Each one has different numbers, and each one has its own way of looking at the charts and figuring those numbers out. One thing I would say, if you're going to concentrate on YouTube, which I think is great, I think that's where, if I was just starting out as a musician, that's where I would start, as YouTube. And maybe then move into Facebook. Just concentrate on one until you understand it, and until you're building some momentum. And then you can figure out, like, okay, I'm creating videos for YouTube, and I'm definitely creating subscribers. I know who those subscribers are, and I'm getting them to go in and say, okay, yeah, your CD is coming out in September 15th. If you're doing this correctly, you'd have a date. I want to be notified when that releases. So then they go into your funnel, and in the funnel they raise their hand and say, yes, let me know when your album releases, so I can purchase it or download it or whatever the case may be. But then you're like, okay, those videos, how can I use them somewhere else? Can I make smaller clips? Because YouTube usually allows for much longer videos, which people will pay attention way longer in YouTube than they will Facebook. So can I take smaller clips of those videos, transition them over to Facebook, and create a post, even if that post is just, hey, check this out, check out what I just did. The full version of this is on YouTube. You know what I mean? And then they go to YouTube and subscribe. That's actually a kind of funnel, okay? Because you're getting them to take action from one place to the next and become a subscriber on your YouTube channel, which then YouTube takes more seriously.
Right. And the other thing is too with YouTube, it is the etiquette on all these different social media platforms is a little bit different. But
Right.
part of the etiquette on YouTube is everybody says, bang that like and subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified of my next video. That is in every single video. Everybody says it, from Joe Rogan to, me, like everybody in between. So it is, they welcome you promoting yourself. They welcome you asking potential fans, if you'd like, would you like to know more, Carrie? They welcome you doing that. So that's another reason why it is really a good platform for growing your audience. And everybody's got something in the description below. Check out my Patreon. In the description below, get my new book. In the description below, get my video course. In the description below, fill in the blank.
So you can do all the buttons and magic and shit around that comes on.
So, yeah, and you can do the stuff where you put the things on the screen or people can click on stuff. So it is very, very friendly to growing an audience. So it is definitely not something to be overlooked. So we kind of talked about growing the YouTube channel and traffic kind of together. But let's go on to this, because this is something I do not know a lot about, and I just bought a course on this. I'm going to learn it, and so we can talk about it. And that is Instagram. Damian mentions people going to Instagram, the Instagram bio, and how important that is. And we talked about the bio in the past, and why it's very important to have a bio that's interesting to read and does communicate why the hell you're doing this, and more so than what. So do you guys want to kind of either one of you guys feel comfortable about maybe kind of addressing this for a minute?
I'm comfortable with the why and talking about your profile like we did earlier. But as far as Instagram itself, that is, one of the channels I haven't actually delved into, because I'm focusing on Facebook, YouTube, and funnels themselves, and chatbots. So, Carrie, do you know anything about Instagram itself?
Only a little, and it's not one I've really gone because I'm not a completely visual person. I do just about enough visual, but Instagram to me is an entirely visual platform. So it's very good. So it especially suits people who want to say, here I am doing this, that, and the other, and daily photos. But I do know that since the internet is a visual medium, a lot of people do work that way and do want to show their daily lives. That's why it's grown like it has.
So it's smaller clips that show your daily life. It's like letting people have a window into what you're doing at this time of day.
And also there's Instagram TV, which will allow you the full-length videos. And so I've had my music videos on there like that via Instagram TV, and that's also a good platform if you're streaming stuff. Instagram TV is very good for live streams so when we've talked about online gigs and stuff.
I'm going to have to research this, guys, so we apologize. We will brush up on Instagram and do a podcast on it to clarify everything, but he specifically mentioned the video. I mean, he specifically mentioned the bio, and the bio having to do with why you do what you do. I would tell you guys to just refer to our podcast on bios, because I think we really went into like a pretty heavy discussion on that. But the short of it is it's got to be cool. I got to read that and go like, I want to know more about this. Who is this? This guy sounds
Yeah.
crazy. Or this is, I love where this guy's coming from. Or this guy's the biggest jerk I ever heard of. What else does he have to say? It's got to have that element to it.
Little clarification on the why thing, though. It is why that you want rather than what. Why should I care? The other thing on that why, though, is that the job of your bio isn't to tell everyone how great you are. It's to tell them how interesting you are. And that's an important distinction. Especially because when you do set out to tell people how great you are, you will descend into cliche really fast. And and every now and then, in fact, somebody tweeted me one today about one of the about all the releases he gets, and he says, "Look, if you're going to put in your band bio, every now and then a band comes along that changes the way people think about such and such, then it's like cliche bingo. That's one of the things like you immediately think, oh yeah." The people who advocate it will say that's the point. It's meant to be like brash and make people, all right, prove me. But most people won't let you prove it. They'll just think you dick and throw it in the bin.
Yeah.
It's like when you sort of say we don't have any influences because we're that original.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. I bet I'll know your influence the first time I listen to you. So yeah, if you're making a video, don't be in a cornfield at sunset, and if you're writing a bio, don't be the greatest thing ever, because that's not what it's for.
Damn, I was leaving here to go make a video at sunset, Carrie. You just ruined everything for me. Yeah, exactly.
Or on a train track.
Yeah.
With a guitar case.
And
don't do that either.
No photos in front of a brick wall.
Yeah, with graffiti on it.
Yeah, with graffiti. Yeah, you have to make people interested in who you are. And so we all have a story, right? We all have some kind of like reason that launched us into this thing. That's one of the things when I was interviewing artists a lot, that was always the most interesting part of the story was I should have just done an entire podcast just asking people why. Because that was always the best part of the interview. The rest of the interview was usually yawn. My record's coming out and we're blah, 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 blah. But when they would tell the story of like what kind of like how they got bit by the bug to play music, everybody had, my brother and he had this guitar and I thought he was an asshole and we always picked on him, but then he died. And I was heartbroken. So I picked up his guitar and I was determined to carry on his legacy. Like, that's like, holy crap. I had a guy tell me that once. I was like, dude, you need to lead with that. Like, that's the kind of thing that like people are going to be like, who the hell is this guy? Like, even if his music is, so-so, you're at least going to like, a lot of people are going to be like moved by that story and going to want to check it out. And that's kind of an extreme case, but that is really what we're talking about here. Okay. And then finally, I want to apologize, guys. I'm looking over at my cell phone only because I have to play a gig and I'm on a really tight and I've got people texting me saying they want to go with me. Is it still on? We're having giant thunderstorms here in this area. And so there was a question as to whether I was going to be on. So I apologize. I was distracted here a little bit. The final topic here, though, is this sort of idea of accountability. And that's kind of what we try to do each week here. Just, having those folks that you kind of like, you couldn't, I don't want to say report to, but each week they're saying, or every other day or whatever, saying, hey, where are we on this? I need this. I need this video. I need those lyrics. I need whatever to kind of like keep that schedule going, right? Because if you have the schedule but you don't have the accountability, maybe the schedule you just blow the schedule off, right? So you guys want to address that for a minute?
Well, that's going right back to the calendar again, isn't it? And having clear deadlines.
But having the accountability is I see it as having other folks around you who go, no, that's fine.
So,
let's get the thing done. But,
There's multiple ways to have accountability. And one of the good things I took out of Damian's video is you can create your own accountability by telling people, I'm going to release a video every Friday night. Right. Every Friday night, no matter what, there's going to be a video released. Or by saying, okay, my new album is going to release September 15th, no matter what. So you're creating that accountability by making specific dates and by making a specific routine that you have to follow because you've promised your fans or your audience that you're going to do it. So you're creating that accountability that way. The other way to do it would be to have a mastermind or a group of people that you're kind of beholden to. You have to, you tell them you're going to do something, you have to do it by that time at that date. So there's multiple ways to create that accountability. And, a lot of us sit around waiting for someone that we can like meet with every Wednesday. And we're going to have that accountability because they're going to be into the same thing as me. But you can create it yourself just by making promises and putting it out there in the ethos. Even if you're on a YouTube channel and you're saying, hey, I release these every Friday, you're telling people, hey, I'm doing that. Therefore, no one's listening maybe right now, but you've still put it out there. You still put it out in the ethos. You still have to do it.
I think a couple of things that I think are some other great aspects of accountability. It also telegraphs to everybody that you're professional. Okay, right away, whether you're making money on it or not, but you are treating it professionally. Also,
and building up a record of it. Like
yes, and you're building up a record of it. Absolutely. And so there is a record of how professional. Oh my God, the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus has gone live every Tuesday with almost 100% of the time for the past 3 years. Wow, these guys are like, they must be serious about what the hell they're doing. So people will often, and I don't know if it's like a necessarily conscious thing, but when you kind of have that, I think it seeps into just kind of, people get the impression that you're way more serious. You know what I mean? Because there's so many people that bullshit you, right? Aren't there so many people that say they're going to do something, they'll do it? And Joe's looking at me. But the difference is when it's almost a kind of like novel thing when somebody says something that they're going to do on a consistent basis and they actually do it. That's like a kind of like, whoa, they kind of stand up and take notice. It's maybe a sad situation.
I want to say it doubles your seriousness.
What was that?
I want to say it doubles your seriousness.
Yeah.
If you tell me you've been doing that podcast for 3 years, I'm more likely to give it a chance and watch it at least once, if not 2 or 3 times, to see like, what's this all about? Why has he been able to keep going for 3 years? Where can I get value out of this? Let me get entertained. You know what I mean?
Also, by having deadlines and accountability, this helps to kind of mitigate the problem that so many musicians have. And this is a big part of my problem. It's the 2 P's. It's like, remember the old commercials? You guys maybe you're old enough to remember the 2 great tastes that taste great together, chocolate and peanut butter. Remember that? Remember those commercials on TV? Well, these are the 2 great problems that go amazingly well together. And it is perfectionism and procrastination. When you have accountability, you pretty much can eliminate both of those things because you've got a deadline. You've got people that are not only did you have like a deadline that you just made up that you wrote in a calendar, but you got a deadline that fans are waiting for. You've got the other guys in the band. They're like all excited because the song's going to come out, et cetera, or you're recording the show or whatever. So you don't have the luxury of being perfect.
I do have a big asterisk next to that though.
What was it? But I mean, that doesn't mean. Wait a minute. Perfect. I didn't say be excellent. Not be excellent. You have to be excellent. So excellence and perfection.
I'll explain the asterisk in a minute. But.
Okay, but excellence and perfection are not the same thing. But perfectionism can really hold you back. Joe and I are part of a marketing mentoring group where the guy that invented it always says one of his catchphrases is, "You got to know when good is good enough." Okay, so I can tweak that song. We can change that mix around for 5 years. But if I never release the damn thing, it doesn't amount to anything. Kerry and his asterisk. Go.
Right. And the asterisk is, remember I talked before about singles are for the moment, EPs are for the medium term, and albums are for posterity. Well, the thing there is excellence is for short term and for ongoing work in progress. Perfectionism is for posterity. Sure, get that thing out there when it's good enough. But if it's going to be the thing that's going to be your legacy that moves on there, it's going to be, you want it to be perfect when in its final form. So one of the reasons for this is have a distinction between the stuff that is work in progress or the stuff that is going on that's leading to something else. But also the thing that's going to be your final product, like your album or whatever, that is done when it's done. You'll have other stuff that you release in the meantime. You will still have deadlines that you will work towards. But those deadlines will not be at the cost of getting this thing done as it should be. So long as you are actually doing it efficiently, so you are actually getting there. Put it this way. What do you guys drink? Whiskey, beer?
Whiskey.
Whiskey, okay. Do you want whiskey that just came out of the distillery yesterday?
No.
No. You want whiskey that's taken some time to mature. And there's something else that you'll drink that might be just instant there as well. But if it's something that you're actually having for quality, which is what your album, which is what your final project is, that takes time, and people know it takes time. Put out whatever shit you like on the way to it, but the actual products itself, that's where perfectionism belongs. So don't cast perfectionism aside. It is actually an important thing to have. The trick is to know when to apply it.
I respectfully disagree.
Okay, go on.
Because what I think makes everything, the music, the art, the movies, everything that I love, what makes them awesome is the fact that they aren't perfect. It's the little imperfections. It's listening to The Ocean by Led Zeppelin and hearing John Bonham's foot pedal squeaking on the kick drum. Like they could have spent weeks like trying to like edit that out and get, and they just would have Robert Plant he's pitchy in places in a very artistic, cool way. It adds to what he does. There's a lot of slide guitar players who play around with the idea of the pitch, and it's not, and all that kind of the Rolling Stones, all that stuff, all the art that I like has this kind of like off kilter, not perfect, but excellent. Like they're going for a vibe. They're going for something. Like I don't know I'm at a kind of a loss for words, but it is. Maybe we're defining perfectionism in two different ways. But for me, when I hear perfectionism, I hear going back over and over and over. And no, I don't like it. Because let me finish. Let me finish. Because here's what happens to artists, and we're all, Carrie, we're both of us. I know we're guilty of this. If you're an artist, you're guilty of this. You record the thing, and then you go back in a couple of weeks, and because you've heard other music, or because you talked to another producer, or maybe you talked to another artist, you all of a sudden you're being overly harsh on your own thing, and you're trying to go like, I should rewrite that. That's too cliche. That's this. That's that. No, is it good? Is the song well produced? Are the vocals good? Is it well written? Then it's done. Get on, because that isn't going to be the only song you're ever going to write. So I see it a little bit different than you. That's my opinion.
We could do a whole segment on arguing about
I think maybe we could put this aside.
I agree with both of you in different standpoints.
This is a big topic. I mean, like,
that's my opinion.
Yeah, you're right. This isn't simple. I think generally what I mean is there's some kind of gestation period. There's stuff I've washed out that just wasn't ready, and I wish that I hadn't later on because there was something clear that needed doing. And there's other stuff that I have put out because it's been ready, or that I haven't been sure about. That I thought actually it's not so bad after all. Yeah, and it's knowing the difference. But you need to make sure that the imperfections that remain, and yes, they should be there. Otherwise, you're Nickelback, and we'll talk about why that's a bad thing later.
Yeah, I think that you and I are. I think we're probably kind of talking about the same thing. It's just that and you're right. Of course, there's the gestation period, and I'm not telling people to write a song every week and put it out. I know somebody who does that. And it's pretty impressive that he gets as many great songs as he does. He writes 52 songs a year, and he releases 52 songs a year. At the end of the year, they do an album, and he doesn't put all 52 songs on. He picks but it gives him a giant catalog of stuff that he can put on an album. So,
but what I think when I see something like that, though, is how do I start with you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's more to it. It's related to a podcast on a niche topic and stuff like that, and that's why he's doing that. But I don't want to get into that right now. But guys, I hate to cut you guys off, but I have to go play a gig, so I'm gonna have to get rolling. So, Joe, I think you have Joe's gonna have the last word.
So you guys both made two very good distinctions. I think it's good to get stuff out and allow yourself to be creative and just do things. And not to procrastinate and have perfection. But I also think naturally over time in some cases, refining things and then having it grow into what it's supposed to be and reach perfection, so to speak. I don't know if anything ever reaches perfection. Does have its own value. That's why you do a bunch of gigs. That's why you play the same song over and over and over and over again. I bet the first time, Lou played Medicine, it sounded a different way than if he goes out and plays a gig today and plays Medicine. That's my point, is that let yourself grow, put this stuff out there, get started, build your followers. It's always the same point, guys.
And and Joe, how do folks find you if they want to be have more pearls of wisdom like that dispensed upon them?
Yeah, so the best way is, you guys are all musicians. Contact me at LouLombardiRocks.com. Just mention my name. Or go to OrangeTreeMarketing.com.
LouLombardiRocks.com is how you can find out more about the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus and all things Loudini related. And Kerry, how will you get a hold of you again, buddy?
kjkmusic.co.uk or on Twitter at KerryJK.
Awesome, guys. All right, everybody, have a fantastic week. We will be back next week with another exciting topic. Maybe we will delve completely into perfectionism. We'll talk about that.
That's a good idea.
Maybe that's what we'll do. All right, guys, have a great week, and we'll talk to you on the next Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. Mm-hmm. All right, guys, I would love to sit and chat for a bit, but unfortunately, I have to get my butt to the Green Dance Winery. So, you guys have a
good one.
Take care, guys.
You recording it?
No.
All right. See you later.
I'll see you later.